Welcome back to Storytime with Sean. Let's just call this episode the Dumb Criminal Edition. Story 1 from the Entitled People subreddit is titled, Burglar Calls Cops Because the Homeowner Wasn't Doing Things Right. This story was actually narrated to me by a friend and is a quick tale about how she turned the tables on a home invader. At the time this happened, my friend was raising a child by herself in a suburb of Texas. The area they lived in wasn't particularly safe, with wild beasties of both human and animal kinds, so my friend armed herself with a small pew-pew and took some safety courses to protect her small family. The years go by, the child is now 5, and there was a series of break-ins in the neighborhood, so friend hired a security company to install security cameras around her home. One day, while reviewing footage, friend noticed a strange man lurking around the house. He seemed to wander around for a bit, and then wandered away, so friend shrugged and carried on with her day. Nothing to worry about, right? Turns out, she was wrong. A few days later, friend was working in her home office and saw the same guy walking down her driveway and entered her backyard. Friend realized the kitchen door was open. Child was playing in the living room. Friend grabbed her pew-pew from her purse, ran to the kitchen and got there as the guy calmly walked through her back door. Guy sauntered in and looked around the room to see my friend standing there with her pew-pew pointed at him. Guy froze. Who the flip are you and why are you in my house? Guy gulped, grabbed his phone and dialed 911. Help! I'm standing in this kitchen and some crazy witch has a pew-pew pointed at me! Friend was stunned, but she didn't put her pew-pew down, calmly telling child to go play in their room, then stood there not moving while staring down the guy who refused to leave. You're gonna get it when the cops show up, witch. You were in my house. Get the flip out. Guy actually standing there until the police came into the kitchen. Guy saw the cops and started screaming, arrest her! She's crazy! Look, she has a pew-pew on me! Friend put down her pew-pew and started shaking. This is my house! You broke in! Cops stopped and stared, looked at the guy. You broke in? Well, her door was open, then she pulled a pew-pew on me. That's not how it works. Arrest her for having a pew-pew. I have a license and this is Texas, you idiot. Cops arrested the guy who was still howling how my friend didn't do it right. Apparently, she wasn't a proper victim. LMAO. Friend gave the cops a copy of the video of him sniffing around earlier in the week. She never heard anything back from them, so she figured he went to jail. To call 911 on yourself while committing a crime. Well, it is Texas, so he probably was safer in jail. On to story 2. This one is about a little bit of stealing. Story 2 is titled, Revenge is a Dish Best Served Spicy Hot. I work in an office, as do most people, and of course there is one of many break rooms, as found in most offices. For the past 2 weeks, my wonderful girlfriend would slow cook awesome meals to take to work with me. We have a giant twin-door refrigerator in the break room where everyone keeps their food. No surprise. Well, like a kid going to recess, I walk towards the break room and open the refrigerator. Food is missing. I scan around the break room and see my plastic food container on the counter next to the sink. My heart sank and I reluctantly drove in lunchtime rush hour to the quick taco restaurant. The next day, I bring my food to work. I keep checking the break room to see if my food is still there. This time at lunch, my food was in the refrigerator. I was sort of relieved and thought that it was an isolated incident. Until the next day when I brought in some chicken tenders from Publix. Go to the refrigerator and gone. Looked in the trash can and there was my chicken tenders container. I was so mad that I talked to security to see if they could play back the footage. Since it was more of a nuisance than a crime, security just laughed and said, sucks to be you, man, all we can say. This occurs over the course of 2 work weeks. At least I accumulated enough stamps for a free taco at the quick taco restaurant. Over the weekend while fishing on the beach, I couldn't help but thinking about the jerk stealing my food. Then it hits me. I want to play a game. On Sunday, I purchased a 6-inch chicken tender sandwich from Publix and took it home. For those who don't know, I'm a chili head. I basically love my food extra spicy. I built up a tolerance to where Tabasco is like table salt for me now. I mainly enjoy Carolina Reaper and Boot Jolokia hot sauces. At home, I opened up my medicine cabinet. I carefully opened the sandwich and picked my blood. I needed something slow acting since I didn't want just one bite. Hey, that's spicy. No, I wanted this to build up, then knock him down. So I picked one sauce containing the Boot Jolokia and Moroga Scorpion chili peppers. Both were at one time considered the hottest peppers in the world by the Guinness Book. The sauce is a great sauce. It slowly builds up with a nice peppery flavor, almost like Chipotle Tabasco if you multiply it by like 1,000. I used a lot of it, but it was worth it. But I wasn't done. Ha! No! I took out some dried Reaper and Ghost chilies from the refrigerator, which I use for chili and jarring pickles. I cut them up into fine pieces using latex gloves, eye goggles, and a mask. Then I sprinkled them into the sandwich. I woke up the next morning and took the sandwich with me. The girlfriend got irritated because she made me lunch and saw I was bringing a sub to work. Didn't matter because I was about to get revenge. I took care to place the sub right in front of the refrigerator. I keep checking the break room every so often to see if it's gone or still there. Around 10:50, I head towards the break room and I hear heavy breathing like a dog panting loudly, and I hear the sounds of shoes squeaking almost like someone was playing basketball. I then go in and see Ruben, not his real name, but let's call him that, sweating heavily, stumbling down the counter and breathing up like a hurricane. He resembled a fish out of water on a hot sidewalk. I point towards him and say, You're the mother flipper stealing my darn lunch. He looks towards me and says, What? Water! I was more than happy to bring him water, because as any chili head will tell you, water only intensifies the burn. He gulps down all the water and then hangs his head over the sink with a stream of drool leaving his mouth. He looked like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. Then the best thing happens. The chicken tender sandwich comes right up and lands on the break room floor. Someone comes in the break room and thinks he's choking, and then I say, No, he's not choking, he's drunk. At this point, he's literally at a loss for words. Then I go back to my desk and he comes up to me in a sweat-stained shirt and starts cussing me out. The only thing I said was, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have kept stealing my lunch, then this wouldn't have happened. Then he tries to get me in trouble with my supervisor. He tells my supervisor that I tried to poison him. I explained the situation to my supervisor, who didn't necessarily agree with my actions, but could tell that a piece of him thought that it was justified. I felt satisfied and relieved. I didn't even mind going to that quick taco restaurant to buy food. Later at home, I went to the beach, cracked open a cold one, and sipped the victory. I don't think that was a victory. I think that was a flawless victory. We've got one more story for you today. Story 3 is titled, Lady Claims I Stole Her Car and the Police Were Called. I've seen posts about this kind of thing and thought, no way this is real. What kind of idiot would call the police for that? Well, yesterday it happened, and I'm still confused what this lady was thinking. We have been looking for a car for our youngest. Looking through online ads, we came across an ad for a luxury car that only wanted about a third what this car blue books for. Says car just suddenly stopped starting. Husband is a mechanic, so we decided to look at it just to see. Immediately, he sees a couple potential problems as to why it doesn't start. Car has new tires, body nearly perfect, interior needs a few fixes. Still worth way more than the owner is asking, even with paying for repairs to get it running. Of course we bought it. Youngest is ecstatic about getting a luxury car for graduation. Husband gets it running, even easier fixed than he originally thought. Now it's time for the crazy lady. It is time for the plates and registration. Off to the DMV we go. Come out with the temporary tags and his husband is putting them on the car. This lady walks up. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Do you need something? Yes, that car. My car? What about it? Where did you get it? We bought it a few weeks ago. That's my car. No, it isn't. Now get away from us. Yes, that is the car I was going to buy from previous owner and you stole it from me. Lady, I paid previous owner what they were asking and nothing was said about you. Leave us alone. Previous owner and I had an agreement and you came in and made her sell to you. I want it back and I want it now. I had to buy that piece of crap over there instead. Now you take that piece of crap and give me my car. What the flip ever, witch? Now get the heck out of my way before I run your stupid butt over. I'm not going anywhere. I've already reported to the police. I have found my car and they're on their way. Are you flipping nuts, lady? You just can't report a car stolen because you missed the chance to buy it? What this insane witch doesn't know is we are actually waiting on the previous owner to show up to get her plate and registration because there was a mix-up with the title, DMV fault, and we had to wait to get that fixed before we could title, register, and plate it, so we were still using the correct plate. Previous owner can turn in her plate and get a refund for the months not used. 2 police cruisers pulled up about 5 minutes later. Previous owner pulled in right behind them. As the 2 officers are getting out and asking who called, previous owner walks up to me and husband asking what is going on. She hasn't noticed the crazy lady yet. Crazy lady immediately starts yelling about how she paid for this car and we forced the previous owner to give us the title instead. She wanted us arrested and her given the title and possession of the car right now. One of the officers walked over to us. I grinned because it was one of my friend's sons. Grew up with and was friends with my oldest son. Hey Brandy, want to tell me what's going on? I really don't know. We bought this car a few weeks ago from her, pointing to previous owner, and while we were waiting for her to show up to get her plate, this woman started screaming at us about stealing the car. Something about they, pointing between the previous owner and the crazy lady, had an agreement about the car, but she, previous owner, sold it to us instead, and now she, crazy lady, is demanding we take whatever car she ended up buying and we give her this one. OMG, this is exactly why I didn't sell her the car in the first place. She is my neighbor and she's insane. She asked me about it when I decided to sell it and I told her she could buy it, but she wanted me to get it running first, but still sell it to her for the low price. I told her I didn't want to deal with it and that's why it was low. If I got it running again, I might just keep it, but I would definitely raise the selling price to at least double. She has called me a few times asking if I had it running yet, and I've told her no, but she kept telling me to call her when I did. Officer, then going with procedures, checked all our IDs, checked the bill of sale, the previous registration, and ran the VIN. Everything checked out. I think we're done here. Ma'am, it is a crime what you've attempted here. Actually, you've made a false report, which is a crime and I could arrest you. But I'm not. I'm sure you're just upset and made a bad judgment call, so we will let it slide. No, it wasn't a false report. That's my car. Ma'am, stop. Just stop. I could also charge you with attempted car theft, but we're all just going to walk away now. No, I'm not just walking away. This is BS. Pointing at previous owner, you owe me amount twice what we paid for the car, and you will get my car back. Ma'am, step over by the cruiser. We need to have a talk. I gave the plate to the previous owner, and officer number 1 told us to have a nice day. Husband and I went ahead and left, while previous owner went into the DMV. Crazy lady was still ranting at officer 2 about allowing us to steal the car. Previous owner texted me later that crazy lady was in the back of the police car when she left, still yelling. I'm not worried about any future contact with crazy lady. We don't live in the town where the DMV is or where they live. In a couple months, the car will be 2 hours away with my youngest at college. Crazy lady doesn't know our names and the previous owner doesn't know where we live. Those stories were wild. We've all heard of somebody turning themselves in, but to call the police while you're committing a crime thinking somebody else is gonna get in trouble, that takes a special kind of stupid. And with story 2, that guy kind of got what he deserved. You steal people's food, you don't know what they might do to get back at you. That's another example of play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I hope you all enjoyed this supersized version of Storytime with Sean. I had fun. I usually try to keep it to 2 stories, but I kept finding cool stuff today, so you got a supersized edition. If you'd like me to start doing videos with more than 2 stories, let me know in the comments. And if you also like it that I focus more on stories and not having my own commentary, let me know. I'm not gonna get upset. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's bring more people to our community. I will keep being here as long as this is fun. By now, YouTube is probably showing you some options for some other videos that I have for you, just in case you made it to the end. If you did, thanks so much for hanging out that long. I am planning on experimenting with some other kinds of content, but don't worry, the funny stuff will always be here. We will see you next time on Storytime with Sean. Thank you for hanging out and have a great one. See you later.